Hello everyone and welcome to Mind, Body and Heart Tarot Therapy. I'm here to do the reading for the full moon in Scorpio on the May 18th. For the collective. I pre-shuffled the cards already. This reading is for the collective, so it's not for... it's for all signs. If it resonates, it resonates, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm doing these readings on new moon and full moon because these are like fairly important points in our process, and we can connect to these energies that are present in these times. In new moons, we usually set intentions, and it's like a new clean slate for the new cycle. And the full moon, it's more of the peak of the energy, and it's where we gotta do the inner work at the most personal level. It's up to us, of course, how we use these energies and how present we are for ourselves and for our process. Alright, so let's see what are the energies for the full moon in Scorpio. Three of Swords. I'm going to pull out 4 cards. I'm going to see what's the underlying energy at the bottom of the deck. And I'm going to pull out some clarifiers. And then we're going to talk about it. So, we also have the 10 of Wands. This full moon in Scorpio, I think it's got a lot of potential. Venus enters her own sign on Taurus. Mars enters the sign of Cancer. We have the outer planets being retrograde still. It's going to be for a long time. And I think there's a lot of interesting conversations based on this energies. Alright, so we have the 8 of Wands. Alright, what else do we have for the full moon in Scorpio, 18th of May? Justice. Alright. And bottom of the deck we have the Magician. Beautiful. Alright. Now let's see, I'm going to pull out some clarifiers. Please clarify the 3 of Swords. Let's clarify these cards. Please clarify these cards. Alright. So we have the King of Swords, the Knight of Wands, the Moon. I love when the Moon card shows up for my Moon readings. It happens a lot. It happens a lot. Alright, let's clarify the Justice card, please. 8 of Swords. Alright, and bottom of the deck to clarify the Magician, we have the Page of Swords. Alright, we're gonna pull more cards if we need. Let me tune into this a little bit. And let's talk about this. So yes, I believe in this full moon, we kind of need to turn our attention towards our inner struggles. We need to look inside to the unresolved issues of our heart, of our mind, where we are not aligned with ourselves. So bottom of the deck, The theme of this reading is the Magician with the Page of Swords. The Magician is a very active energy. It's a beginning. It's the beginning of everything physical, really. It's the number one. It's where everything starts happening. And it comes with the Page of Swords, which is an energy of mental clarity and understanding what is it that maybe our inner narrative is and how we are connecting to it, how much we believe in it. And seeing these two together right now makes me think of looking, pages are also a lot about messages. And so I think it's a clear message from our inner self, from our inner wisdom, having to do with how we show up into the world. What is it that I am thinking? What is it that I am? It's my narrative. We kind of create our own realities by the way we interpret our thoughts and our emotions, and the way we show up into the world. For example, if I show up from a place of fear, then I am prompt to see everything that I meet into my daily reality as a threat. Therefore, my response will be defensive. Therefore, I will probably live in a lot of anxiety. And this is the world that I'm sort of creating. And it's not my fault that I'm doing this. It has nothing to do with that. It's more about paying attention to, is that fear real? Is that something that I really need to pay attention to right now, and I should stop and pay attention to it if this is the case? Or if it's just a learned response because I'm used to live from that place of fear, how do I show up? Other example is that if I'm used to look at the world with curiosity, for example, I would probably, when I come out into the world, perceive everything as something to be curious about, something that I want to learn more about. Therefore, my reaction or my response to the world would be very different. And I think this Page of Swords with the Magician together is like a signal to pay attention to our own narrative. Where are we coming from in this present moment? And this full moon probably would be the peak of looking inside at our inner narrative. And that's like, you have the King of Swords here clarifying the Three of Swords. The Three of Swords traditionally is a card of heartbreak, loss, maybe even third-party situations that lead to heartbreak. But it's also a card of really looking at where we're not aligned in terms of our mind and our needs, our deepest needs. The threes are mental energy, and the swords is also mental energy. So this has to do much more with the way you perceive your story. Right? It's not really what's the real story, it's how you perceive your story. It's your mental approach and your own interpretation. We end up most of the time giving different meanings to different situations. And that has to do a lot with the mindset I'm in and the narrative that I'm in at the time. And it comes with the King of Swords. And I believe that this will bring a lot of clarity, right? Like the King of Swords is all about like the truth. It's all about the clarity of the mind. It's all about deep insights and understanding. And it's also about being fair and looking at things for what they are, not what we wish them to be, not what we expect them to be, not what we thought they are based on our maybe, again, learned responses and conditioning. So whenever we if we are going inside and re-examine our thought patterns, we might learn a lot. We really might learn a lot about the pain that we're carrying, and we may realize that, like any other thought pattern, it is a story that I learned to carry with me, I learned to identify with. And having this Three of Swords here, like you see, you have these clouds here and the rain. Having this cloudy, like dark clouds, show confusion. There is no mental clarity. There's like a lot going on in there, and this is why this particular re-examination is needed, because by aligning a little bit our needs with our thought patterns and learning how to cover for our needs, we bring this mental clarity. So we kind of need to call upon the King of Swords energy present within ourselves, because we all have it, to bring in this rational mind and the observing mind. Bring that inner observer in to look a little bit at the thought patterns having to do with loss and sorrow, and having to do with pretty much the way we identify with our pain. Alright, and the next cards are the Ten of Wands with the Knight of Wands. The Ten of Wands has to do a lot with our spiritual growth and our passion, our inner drive, what really drives us the most. The Wands energy is that energy that keeps us moving, that makes us tick, that most inner passion and drive. And the Ten of Wands here is clarified by the Knight of Wands. The Ten of Wands is an energy of like ending a cycle that has to do with your spiritual growth and probably spiritual complications of some sort. And obviously, as the imagery shows in this deck, has to do a lot with feeling overwhelmed and feeling like you've been carrying a little bit too much. And being clarified in Knight of Wands, I feel like we feel this need of moving forward fast. The Knight of Wands is a really, really dynamic energy, very fast moving energy. And yet we feel like we need to move forward with something, maybe moving forward from these patterns, having already like this inner insight of what is it that we're carrying and how we're kind of overjudging ourselves based on our programming. And we feel like we've done this work and we have this insight and we need to move really, really fast, really, really forward, but we are still carrying the baggage. We are still like holding on to our emotional baggage and our past. But this is a 10, right? This is an end of a cycle. And I feel like this particular moment of the full moon, it will feel a little bit heavy. These two are also coming right after another, so I feel like this feeling of overwhelming has to do with this feeling of carrying too much faulty beliefs, maybe feelings of guilt or feelings of shame or feelings of being inadequate in a way, yeah. And this kind of what stops us from moving forward. You see, like this guy, it's moving in this direction, and the Knight of Wands is moving in the other direction. The Knight of Wands is moving, what if you look at it like this? It's moving from right to left. It's moving towards his intuition. It's moving towards his inner world, really, like honoring that intuitive self. And this one is moving to the right. It's carrying too much from the subconscious into the daily life, into the consciousness. And this is what needs to be released. And the moon here clarifying the Eight of Wands. Talks a lot about our inner, about our fears and our confusion. We don't really know where we're going. We really don't know where we're going, and that's all right. We're allowing this release. Like you see, this guy's carrying here all these wands, and then in the next card you have this Eight of Wands, where one's kind of like going down and ground this energy. It's a very fast moving energy. Again, it's very much correlated with this Knight of Wands. So I feel like we are learning what is it that we need to let go of. We are letting go of it into this full moon, or it's called upon us to let go of this. And this will kind of free us to use our intuition to move forward really, really fast. And of course, there's a lot of fear having to do with this moving forward. But this fear is normal. And instead of like allowing ourselves to be overwhelmed by this fear, we can use the fear as information. We can use the fear as we can have a conversation with this fear and find out what is it that I'm really afraid about. Not get stuck here, because if I allow this fear to freeze me, I will get stuck into my own mind, into my own process, into my own patterns, into my own perceived fears most of the time. There's nothing to really be afraid about. We have this Justice card here showing up, showing us that we are safe, we are protected. We chose to have the experiences that we have as souls when we reincarnated into this world. We chose to have this experience. And we are safe, no matter what happens to us, no matter what grief we may be enduring right now, or no matter what loss and what pain comes our way. We learn that we can turn this pain into grace. We can turn this pain into some type of lesson. And this is something that we chose to leave. It comes with justice. Justice is about karma. Karma is not really about being punished or something like that. No, it literally means just action. And things happen. everything just happens, and we can allow it to happen and learn from it. It's up to us what is the narrative that we choose in the end. Because if I choose this narrative that I'm like succumbing to fear and not moving forward and not doing any step because I'm terrified of what that will take me, like this little crab here is like trying to come out of the water and go out on this path here, on this journey, but it's truly terrified of what's out there. It's a very different medium, it's a very different world, and there's this wolf and this dog howling at the moon. He's terrified, and he can get stuck there. He may never progress forward, as we can get stuck here into our minds. 8 is about its mind energy again, but 8 is also about stability. 8 is also about structure. So I feel like if we are to read the imagery, the structure of the mind that we have right now, if it's based on fear, it's gonna keep us stuck. But these cards here remind us that there's nothing to be afraid of, because there's nothing that can truly hurt us deep down inside. No matter what happens to me, I am safe. I am having this experience is a way to grow as a soul. Whatever this experience is, trust our intuition and trust that nothing can truly hurt me. And that allows me to move forward. And that allows me to rewrite the narrative into my mind, right? This card has to do also a lot with victimhood mentality. Like, things happen to me, and whatever happens to me kind of makes me feel like powerless and hopeless. But this is an illusion, you know. This person here can at any time use one of these swords, which is like mental energy. You see, there is one of these swords like kind of singled out, coming out in the front. This is that energy of mental clarity. When there's too many thoughts, we get trapped in them. It's overthinking, it has to do with overthinking, and we don't see things clearly anymore. But here you have the justice. It's also having a sword here. It comes with clarity, and there is only one clear understanding from this process. This is that we are safe, we are protected, and everything changes, everything passes. We can't get stuck into a place, because there is no such thing as nothing lasts forever. Everything is it's continuously changing, and it's changing based on also what is it that I am here to experience. I hope this makes sense. Maybe I'm a little bit scattered here in my discourse, but just to sum it up a little bit, I think this particular full moon in Scorpio, it's a deep dive into our narrative and the way we identify with our narrative. The way we are identifying with our pain, the way we are identifying with our role into society and our role into relationships. And I think there's great potential for amazing clarity and deep understanding of how do I learn to not succumb to overthinking and conditioning. Learning to separate the conditioning and learning how to separate the narratives that don't serve me anymore from the narrative that are empowering and constructive. We are the magician. And this Page of Swords here tells me that there's a deep insight about how we can take control over our lives. So yeah, this full moon feels like there's a lot of potential. I'd like to clarify this Eight of Swords here to see what is this narrative about. There's this deep overthinking and there's this feeling of being helpless and trapped somewhere. What is this about? Let's clarify the Eight of Swords with Justice, please. Alright. And we have the Three of Wands, which is in this deck means virtue. So yeah, maybe just feeling like at some point we're being wronged and questioning the virtue of other people and maybe even questioning our own virtue. And feeling somehow trapped into the inner contradictions about virtue. And with the Justice here shows me that we gotta trust our inner self. We gotta trust our body to tell me what's right for me. We gotta trust our body to tell me what is the virtue, not the mind. Sorry, the mind right now is confused. The mind right now needs to disengage this overthinking, which comes from a place of fear, and get back into the intuition and trust that. Get back into your that inner wisdom that comes from your spiritual self, and trust that to be your virtue. Alright guys, well, thank you so much. Bottom of the deck here is happiness, the Nine of Cups. So I believe that yes, this process has a lot of potential, great potential for us to get unstuck and to let go of the things that overwhelm us, and understand that we are creating our own reality, getting these deep insights about how do I show up into the world and what is the narrative that I'm operating from. What do I identify myself with? Don't be afraid. There's nothing really to be afraid of. Trust in yourself and trust into the decision you've made as a soul when you came into this world. Alright. Well, thank you for joining me here. I hope you resonated with this reading. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you soon for the readings for the month of June, for all the signs. Have a great full moon.